teacher, Andrew Furmanczyk. Alright, today we're going to be learning about basically a system on the piano called whole tones and half tones, or half tones can also be called semitones, and whole tones can be called tones. And the reason we're going to learn about it is because it actually will open up a whole new world for a whole bunch of different things. So it's all about teaching you skills so that you can learn your own pieces. And then as kind of a bonus at the end, I'm going to teach you how to play Mary Had a Little Lamb. I know you're probably thinking, oh, what a kiddie song, but should be fun to start off with. It's something that pretty much everyone knows, so if you can play Mary Had a Little Lamb on the piano, you can go with your friends and play it, and then you guys can have a good laugh about it, right? So, plus it's not all about teaching the songs, it's about teaching you guys how to play piano. That's what I'm here for. Alright, so the first thing we're going to learn today is a system called whole tones and half tones. And I know you're thinking probably like, oh man, now Andrew's really getting complicated on me. Oh, what am I going to do? What am I going to do, right? Well, it's not really that complicated. Think of whole tones and half tones as a chain, one long chain with links on it. Okay? So, in this pattern, listen to these notes. Does it sound like I'm going up the piano? Right? That sounds like I'm going up. So this is actually the pattern that all the keys go in. So in other words, from this key to this key is just the next link in the chain, and this link, and to this link, to this link, to this link. So a semitone is actually from one link to the next link. So from here to here, that's a semitone, or a half tone. Okay, so just from here to here is a semitone. That's it. Pretty easy, right? Now, from here to here is also a semitone because that is a link, from one link to the next link. Now, there's another thing that we call a whole tone. And that goes, you're going to skip a link. So if you had 1, 2, 3 links, it goes from this link to this link, skipping the one in the middle. So that's a whole tone. So if you look at this, you go from here to here. You're skipping this link in the middle. That's basically it. So this is a whole tone. There's something in the middle. You're skipping it. And that's a semitone. So from here to here, semitone. Here to here is a semitone. Here's a semitone. Semitone. Now from here to here, what is this? Is that a whole tone? No. You know why? Because there's nothing actually in the middle. There's no black key right here. So it's going from one link to the next link. So this is actually a semitone, whereas this would be a whole tone because there's a black key in between right there. Alright, so if you actually went from here to here, that would be a whole tone. Okay, so why am I showing you all this? That is a good question, isn't it? Well, the reason is you can use these whole tones and semitones as a way to find any major scale in the entire keyboard. You can just pick any key and play a major scale on that key. Yeah. So any key, you can just play a major scale. It all follows the same pattern, and I'm going to show that to you right now. So the pattern is two whole tones, or we call them tones for short, so just a tone or a semitone. So tone, and then a tone. So there's two tones. Then there's one semitone, and then there's three whole tones, so 3 whole tones, and then one semitone. So it goes 2 whole tones, 1 semitone, 3 whole tones, 1 semitone. So watch this. I'm going to play C major, since we already showed you C major, and I showed you C major last video, so this is one whole tone. That's one whole tone. There's another whole tone, because we have black keys in between. Now, look at this. We have a semitone, because that's a semitone. No black key. There's a whole tone, a whole tone, so that's 3 whole tones, and then we need what? 1 more semitone, and look, it works out perfectly. 1 semitone. So it's tone, tone, semitone, tone, 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 semitone. Okay, so we're going to use that pattern to figure out a new scale. Okay, so we're going to use the scale of G major. Okay, so G major doesn't start on C, it starts on what note? Well, no one can actually apply to that, so it's just G. So we look for the key of G, which is this key, and we're going to put our thumb there. Now we go up 1 tone. That's a tone. Now we go up another tone. Now we need a semitone, because it goes tone, tone, semitone. So tone, tone. Now this is a semitone. See, it works out perfectly there. And then tone, tone. Now we need 1 more tone because it's 3 tones. So we have tone, tone. Now from here to here is a semitone. So what we actually have to do is go to this note up here. So we go tone, and then we need what? A semitone. And look, it leads us right back. So that's G major. It goes. Yay! Now, one thing I didn't show you in my last video is the right-hand version of a scale. Now, what a scale is all a scale is simply is a group of notes that sound good together. So it leads to a tonal center. That's what all these keys or scales have. The first note is called the tonic, or the tonal center of the whole scale. And that is the only key of rest. See how you couldn't just stop on that note? You have to go. It just doesn't sound like you're finished. Huh. Somehow if you ended on that note, people would be like, what? But if you do this, then they're like, ah, that's better. Okay, so that's what a scale is. It's basically a group of notes that have been put together so that it draws you to, it gives you variety in basically the music and has a tonal center for that key. So in G major, G is the actual tonal center of that key. See how I wanted to go back to G there? Okay, but I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself now. That's just what a scale is. So that's the definition of a scale. It's just basically notes that sound good together. Alright. Now, with this, it's just the same as the right-hand scale. You want to have the semicircle fingers pushing down, flat hand on the top, not a bent wrist, but just straight. And then what you're going to do is you're just going to push down. Now on the 3rd finger, you're actually going to do the tuck. Because if you look above, well, let's do it here. I don't have enough fingers to go this, and I'm not just going to do this, right? That just doesn't make any sense. So, I'm not going to start with these 3 here and then do that. That would make no sense either. So we play the first 3 notes, then I tuck my thumb underneath, so you can see that. And then I just move my hand over, and go to the top. Fun stuff, eh? So it's just 3 notes, and then tuck, and then up to the top, and then tuck and put your 3rd finger over, 2, and then 1. Just like that. Pretty simple. Okay, now, once that is done, so just tucking under, now we'll do G major. So we go 1, 2, 3, tuck, 4, and then up to the top. So we just have to make sure to play this. Okay, so that is that. Now, the next thing I'm going to teach you is something called a sharp and a flat. So it actually has to do with what I was just showing you. Now, when I was showing you a semitone can go up or down, can it not? Because this could be another semitone from there to there. Those are both semitones. So there, that's a semitone. So a sharp and a flat is, think of it as an alteration of a note. It changes the note either up a semitone or down a semitone. So up a semitone or down a semitone. So if a sharp is up a semitone, and a flat is down a semitone. So flats go this way, and sharps go that way. Okay? So sharps are right, flats are left. Okay? So a good example to start off with is the key of D. So if I say play a D sharp, all I'm saying is go play the D, but play a semitone above that D. So D sharp. So that's what a D sharp is. It's just it's a semitone above the key of D. And a D flat is a semitone below the key of D. So it has to do with key signatures and other stuff and how you formulate scales and blah 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 blah. Because there would actually be no way to get to the black keys if we didn't have another name for them. And we wouldn't want to name this like the key of Y and Z and X and K or whatever, right? So we just have to do with flats and sharps. Okay, so a D sharp is this one, and a D flat is that one. Now, I'm going to show you another thing. It's called inharmonic. Oh, now doesn't that sound scary? Inharmonic, an inharmonic note is just a really big word for one note with two names. So when I say D flat's inharmonic note is C sharp, now does that boggle your mind? It shouldn't, because look at this. If this is C and we go up a semitone, we're on C sharp, because that's up a semitone, so that's C. A sharp goes up a semitone, so that's C sharp. And then at the same time, D is here, so down a semitone from D is D flat. So this note can be called a C sharp or a D flat. It doesn't matter until you get into more advanced levels, but the basic idea here is that you can call it either C sharp or D flat. So it has two names, and that's what inharmonic means. It just means that this key's inharmonic name of D flat is also C sharp. So the inharmonic name of C sharp is D flat. So you can just mix and match it. So it's really just a big word that sounds scary, but it really is quite simple. So flats and sharps, what do? Well, we need them to change the pattern of the keys so that it fits that thing. Because you'll notice in G major, I didn't go, so I had to create an F sharp to make the pattern work. So look, tone, tone, semitone, tone, tone. So I need a tone here, so I actually raise the F to an F sharp. So there's a tone there, and then a semitone. And because the F sharp's already there, it works out perfectly. So those are sharps and flats. So there's scales with flats in them too. This would be a sharp though. You'll get to learn later when I teach you the circle of fifths. It shows you every scale in existence, and you can draw it in about a minute or two. And it's right in front of your eyes, and you know everything about the scales that way. So that's something you'll learn later. Okay, so that's G major, and that is flats and sharps, and whole tones and semitones. Now the one last thing I'm going to show you is Mary Had a Little Lamb. Very easy song. So, now, it's going to go like this. Okay, I'll do it one more time for you. So it goes, Mary had a little lamb. So basically all I'm doing, I'm starting on the E, and I'm going down, and back to the E, and then I hit it 3 times. So, and then 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and then I hit this 3 times, 1, 2, 3, and then 1, 2, 3 here. Oh, wait a minute. I go 1, and then 2, 3, like that. So, okay, and then I just do the same thing over again. Now I add an extra 1, so I hit it a 4th time, and then twice there, and then once up here, and that's it. And then you can add in extra things if you want to. So that's all extra stuff. Anyway, so that's Mary Had a Little Lamb. Alright, now, I think I could probably add one other thing, and this is called an interval. And an interval is basically the distance between two notes. So like we were saying, this is a whole tone and this is a half tone or semitone. What would be the distance between here and here? Now there's actually a name for all those. And I'm going to give you the simple name to start off with. So from here, we're just going to use the C major scale as an example. So we start in here, this is the first note of the scale, and this is the 8th note, because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So there's 8 notes, and from one C to another C, or one D flat to another D flat, or one D to another D, all those are called perfect octaves. Or for short, this is an octave. That's one octave. So it's the distance between one note until you get to the next note that repeats. So you can count how many octaves you have in your piano. But yeah, so there's a whole bunch of octaves. I think there's about 7 octaves. Can't remember offhand, but I believe there are 7 octaves on a standard piano. Possibly more than that. I guess I can count right now. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, I was right. So there are 7 octaves. And then there's 3 extra notes on the side here. Okay, so that is called an octave, or a perfect eighth. Okay? Now, if I go from the first note to the second note, that's actually called a second. So a second is actually the same as a whole tone. Now, if I go from the first note to the third note, that's called a third. First note to the fourth note, that's a fourth. Notice how I'm also playing my fourth finger on it. So from 1 to 4, that's a fourth. There's 2 notes in between. Okay, and then up from here to here, that's a fifth. And then here to here, that's a sixth. This is a seventh. And this is an eighth. Perfect eighth. Ta-da! So that is intervals. That's a very basic concept of them. Alright, so those are intervals, and you'll learn more about them later on, because you want to actually read music by intervals. It's called intervallic reading. I know, it sounds kind of intense and very nerdy, but the reason why they're actually good is because instead of having to read every note, like going, okay, I'm going from an A, or going from like D to G to A to F to G to E, you just go, up a fourth, up a second, like down a fourth, up a third. So then you can just input that information into your fingers, and you don't even have to look at your hands to play the notes, because you don't have to double check. You just know that that's how far away they are from your hands. Just like, here's an experiment. You can close your eyes, and can you wiggle your second finger, and then can you wiggle your fifth finger without looking? Dun, 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 dun. So you did it, and I'm sure it was pretty easy, wasn't it? So that's how easy it can actually become later on. You just look at the music, and as you look at it, you just read intervallically, and you just input that into your fingers, and ta-da! It just takes a bit of practice, and that's about it. Okay, so that's all I wanted to teach you guys today in lesson number 2. I hope you guys thoroughly enjoyed that, all that information. If that information is too much for you, you can always go back and rewatch it. So, yeah. All this information it might be mind-boggling right now, and a lot of information, but just go over the video again and try to let it absorb into your mind. Yeah. And I think over time it'll become easier for you to grasp, obviously, and yeah. Soon you guys will be able to learn your own pieces instead of getting stuck with Mary Had a Little Lamb from your lame piano teacher named Andrew. You'll be able to teach yourself things like Chopin and Beethoven and whatnot. So yeah. Okay, so in the next lesson I'm going to be talking about chords and how we form them. So that should be kind of a fun lesson, because you'll be learning how to do these kind of chords. So yeah, you'll be able to learn how to do basic chords and the posture for them and stuff like that. Alright, so that is it for now, and I am out. So thank you for watching, and take care. Happy practicing.